You're not safe from Instagram scams. Instagram has evolved a lot over the years. It went from being a simple app for photographers to becoming one of the biggest social media platforms in the world. In other words, there's a lot of money behind this platform, and wherever there's money, there's greed. Criminals have found ways to make money illegally on Instagram, but how do they do it? All right, so we're gonna go over the 5 most evil Instagram scams that are happening right now. Scams that even you could fall for. Hackers disguised as your friends. Picture this, you open up Instagram and see a message from one of your friends. Your friend says, "Hey, I got a new phone and I can't log on to my Instagram account. Can you help me?" But the more you talk to them, the less they sound like your friend. They misspell words and talk as if they're from another country. They ask for your phone number so they can send you a verification code. Stop, don't give them your number. That is not your friend, that's a hacker. Your friend's account has been hacked. The hacker is pretending to be your friend to trick you into giving them your account too. This is how they do it. Let's say you forget your Instagram password. Instagram has a security feature that lets you use the phone number linked to your account to log in. Instagram will text you a code to type into the app, and you're back on your account. It's easy and even easier to abuse. You see, the hacker asks for your phone number so they can send the verification code to your phone. If you give them that code, you're basically giving them the keys to your Instagram account.
And now they have full access to your account because when they put your username, your number, the code that went to your phone, they can now change your password and do whatever they want with your account.
These cyber criminals will then hold your account for ransom. And to get it back, they make you pay a ridiculous amount of money. While they're at it, they'll also use your account to send more scammy messages to your friends. You might be thinking, you have to be really stupid to fall for that, but think about it. Would you suspect a friend to be a hacker? A lot of people don't, but this is one of the easier scams to avoid if you're careful. But some scammers are more specific with who they target. If you're a student, listen carefully because this next scam is important to watch out for. Your bank account is in danger. Times are tough right now. Money is tight for a lot of us. And not having enough money to pay for college is a scary thought. It can make some students desperate, so they are the perfect target for these next scammers. The Solomon Jackson account claims to be the official account of a rich lottery winner. He promises that if you're one of his first 50,000 followers, he'll give you money to help pay for your education. Solomon Jackson will then message you and ask for your bank account information. And it goes without saying, don't give them your information. This is a crime that preys on young, vulnerable people, and the disguise they're using makes this crime even worse.
Jackson won the Powerball lottery drawing in 2009, earning more than $250 million.
Solomon Jackson is a real person who actually won the lottery. He donated over $10 million toward the education system in his hometown. But this Instagram account isn't the real Solomon Jackson, so unsuspecting students might search up his name and see the amazing things Solomon has done and think that these accounts are legit. But remember, if it sounds too good to be true, chances are it is. So far, these scams haven't been too bad, but some of these criminals go beyond just scamming. What if I told you that these criminals use Instagram to recruit people, specifically children? The notorious gangs of Instagram. In 2023, a study showed that 72% of teenagers use Instagram. Because young people tend to be more open-minded, advertisers post ads there. But criminals take advantage of this too. They use Instagram to recruit young people to join their criminal activity. It all starts with a simple post. The criminals will post a video or picture of a huge stack of money and say something like, "Who wants to get easy money?" They encourage young people to message them to make money with them. If you tell them you're interested, the criminals will request all your personal information, your address, phone number, and photo ID. But most of all, they want your bank account information. If you give them all your personal information, you become an official money mule and your fate is sealed. A money mule is someone who launders money that the gangs obtain illegally. They basically transport the money, and if the mules successfully transport it, they get a small cut. The more jobs they do, the more money they get. The gangs will tell the mules that there's no risk, but that's a lie.
So if you're a money mule, you can get arrested, you can get prosecuted, you can end up in prison.
You can get up to 14 years in prison for money muling. And if you're in too deep, it's too late to back out.
I don't care. I'm gonna speak to a certain way so you don't feel like you have a choice and I'm focused into it.
According to Vice, there were nearly 26,000 cases of money muling in 2020. Some of these cases involve kids as young as 14. These children are dealing with dangerous people.
Okay. So it's pure violence if they take your money.
Instagram has a lot of rules in place, but they're not enough. So many of these criminals remain on the platform. The profile of a criminal might look harmless, but behind it is a cold-blooded criminal that will do anything for money, even if that means ruining your future. Some of these Instagram criminals don't hurt you physically, they hurt you mentally, and it will break you apart. These are the scammers who manipulate the part of you that's the most vulnerable, your heart. I have an online girlfriend. Online dating is obviously super popular. According to cloudwords.net, almost 20% of Americans use dating apps to find love. And 54% of those online relationships are just as successful as the ones that begin in person. But sometimes people find love on other apps like Instagram. But as much as I wish I could say that these relationships end happily ever after, most of the time they don't. Because sometimes the person you're talking to isn't who they say they are. These people are called romance scammers. Romance scammers will target anyone and everyone, young or old. If you look like you have money, you're a target. These scammers create fake accounts using other people's pictures, then slide into your DMs to start a conversation with you. Most of the time, it's easy to see it's a scam because a lot of scammers write in broken English. But sometimes they're so convincing that even people who look for scammers fall for the scams themselves. YouTuber Jake Bro has been making videos for over a decade. He's an army veteran who posts content that includes videos on how to avoid scams. But in 2021, Jake fell for a girl he met on Instagram and was almost the victim of a scam himself.
So this is the Instagram account that I want everyone to watch out for. And it's Christy_Becca, and her name is Dr. Christy R. Johnson.
It all started when Christy started following Jake on Instagram and replied to one of his stories. They started to talk regularly. To Jake, Christy seemed like the perfect woman. She was intelligent, beautiful, and shared his interests.
So I even said as a joke, if you are catfishing me, then this is the greatest con of all time.
The more they talked, the more convincing Christy became. Her phone number was from the area she said she lived in, and she even shared childhood photos of herself with Jake. But something didn't seem right. Christy always had an excuse not to video chat Jake. She constantly asked Jake for pictures of himself when he was working out. Eventually, after she turned down another video call, Jake put his foot down and said he wasn't gonna give her any pictures until they had a real video call. Then silence. Christy completely ghosted him, and that's when Jake knew he'd been catfished. After doing more research, Jake realized that this catfish was professional.
So what's happening here is the real woman in these pictures is posting to her Instagram, and the scammer is following her, just stealing them and then duplicating it on this Instagram account.
What makes this even more unsettling is the catfish was using a real girl's pictures since 2012, meaning that they've been profiting from her account for over a decade. And you can see how well this worked because all of the comments on the catfish's posts were guys just like Jake who believed they were in a relationship with Christy. Christy also differed from other scammers. You may have noticed that Christy never actually asked Jake for money. She was asking for pictures. This is because the person behind the account is one of the worst kinds of scammers you could possibly imagine. In this next chapter, we'll find out exactly what they do to steal your money. The world's most disgusting scammer. We've talked about some of the most evil scammers on Instagram, but this one is probably the most disgusting one, the extortionists. Imagine the scenario. A boy falls in love with a girl on Instagram. The boy was so in love with the girl that he's forgotten how long they've been talking and brushes aside the fact that they haven't video chatted yet. Not to mention, his online partner is super attractive. So when his online partner asks for a spicy picture of himself, he doesn't think twice. He sends this selfie to his online girlfriend, and everything is fine until the next day. The boy gets an Instagram DM from this girl, but it's actually from the girl's father. The father says he saw the photos he sent and that his online girlfriend is actually underage. The dad sounds violent in his messages and threatens to send the photos to everyone the boy knows, his friends, his family, his school. The girl's father now tells the boy to send him a huge amount of money. Only then would the pictures be deleted. This is what an extortionist does. Extortionists spend years creating believable accounts like Christie's, just so they can blackmail their victims.
Potentially, that's what this whole catfishing incident was about, was just to get me to send her nudes and then at some point blackmail me for money.
Sometimes it doesn't even matter if the pictures you send are inappropriate because they'll Photoshop your face over other people's exposed bodies to scare you into giving them money. It's pure evil, and it doesn't just happen on Instagram. It happens on almost all social media platforms, including Snapchat. This next story is so sad. In the spring of 2022, an extortionist targeted a high school student named Jordan.
He was an all-American teenager, the homecoming king, beloved by his classmates.
The extortionist made Jordan fall in love with their fake profile. Finally, Jordan felt comfortable enough to send a compromising photo. That's when the mask came off. The extortionist demanded that Jordan send them $1,000 or else they'd send the image to everyone he knew. But Jordan was still a kid. He didn't have that kind of money.
They told him $1,000. He said, I don't have that. How much do you have? $300. We'll get rid of everything, send that $300.
Jordan gave them every bit of money he had, but that wasn't enough. They wanted more money and kept threatening to send that picture. But on March 25th, 2022, everything came to a halt. Jordan took his life, and it just gets worse. According to The Independent, hours after the incident, the scammer sent the compromising photo of Jordan to one of his close friends. How evil do you have to be to do this to a 17-year-old and his family? And Jordan isn't the only one. So many other young people are victims of this type of scam. These extortionists are inhumane and have no empathy. According to Fox 2, a female victim of this crime received this message from her blackmailer. No matter how much you run or wherever you run, I will always have pictures of your face. My friends, the more knowledge you have about these scams, the better you can spot them. Share this video with your friends and family to help victims of scams one person at a time, because you never know. It could possibly save their life. Visual Venture. Wait, before you go, click this playlist right here to watch more dark internet documentaries, because our new goal is 500,000 subscribers by the end of 2023, and I am not gonna lie, that is a pretty hefty goal. So, hope we can do it. Peace.
On social media, internet sleuths shared his information, trying to learn his identity.
One final puzzle that was waiting to be solved is still waiting. Find me.
From weird photos to creepy videos, there's always something on the internet that leaves us with more questions than answers. But because of the hard work of thousands of online detectives, many of these internet mysteries have finally been solved, and some of these truths are crazier than anyone imagined. These are internet mysteries that were finally solved, ranked from the least to the most shocking. I'm Visual Venture, and you are awesome. The mystery of the Post-it notes. On April 15th, 2015, a man with the username R. Bradbury felt like he was losing his mind. That morning, he found a strange Post-it note in his apartment. The note had a list of chores he was supposed to do. But here's the creepy part. He didn't write it. The handwriting wasn't his, and he lived alone, so he had no idea how it got there. He tried to brush it off, but a few days later, things got even creepier. On April 19th, he found another note, this time stuck to the back of his chair. The note read, "Save your documents." That's when he started to get worried. He was convinced that someone was breaking into his house and leaving these notes for him. To catch the intruder, he set up a webcam to monitor his desk. If anyone was coming in and leaving notes, the camera would catch them in the act. Days later, he woke up to another Post-it note. This one scared him even more.
On the 28th, 9 days later, I woke up to find another Post-it note. This one saying, "Our landlord isn't letting me talk to you, but it's important we do."
R. Bradbury rushed to check the webcam footage, hoping for answers. But when he opened the computer, his heart sank. The footage was wiped from his computer. At this point, he started to fear for his safety. A few days later, the Post-it notes started showing up again. They were plastered on almost every door of his apartment, but this time they were all blank. Determined to solve the mystery, he started to make a list of suspects. The first on his list was his landlord. He found an old letter from his landlord and compared the writing to the Post-it notes. They looked pretty similar. R. Bradbury wondered if he could press charges against his landlord for breaking in and leaving notes. So he turned to Reddit, hoping to get some advice. On May 15th, 2015, R. Bradbury posted a question on the r/legal advice subreddit, which is a place where people go to ask for legal help. His situation instantly grabbed everyone's attention. In his post, R. Bradbury explained everything that happened so far. He ended by asking what he could do legally legally if his landlord was leaving those notes. Maybe he could press charges or even sue his landlord, but instead of taking him seriously, most people thought he was making it up. Still, his post blew up. People became obsessed with the mystery of the post-it notes. Most Reddit users thought he was sleepwalking and writing the notes himself without realizing it. They suggested he set up another camera to find out, but setting up another camera didn't seem like a good idea to him since his first webcam footage got wiped. Redditors combed through R. Bradbury's other posts to learn more about his situation. That's when a Reddit user named Kakerlak spotted something important. In a post on another subreddit, R. Bradbury mentioned that he slept in a narrow, windowless bedroom. This small detail helped Kakerlak put the pieces together, and the real answer was a matter of life and death. When Kakerlak noticed that R. Bradbury slept in a small windowless room, he had a hunch. The problem could have been carbon monoxide poisoning. A room with good ventilation allows carbon monoxide to escape outdoors, but in a poorly ventilated space like Bradbury's windowless bedroom, the gas has nowhere to go, creating a dangerous buildup of carbon monoxide. Breathing in too much carbon monoxide replaces the oxygen in the blood, causing symptoms like headaches, confusion, and memory loss. In severe cases, it can be fatal. Kakerlak asked Bradbury, "Do you get bad headaches?" R. Bradbury admitted that he did. Then Kakerlak shared his theory. It might be carbon monoxide poisoning. If he was right, R. Bradbury was writing the notes to himself, but the gas was messing with his memory, making him forget that he ever wrote them. Kakerlak's suggestion got a ton of likes and comments. With so many people agreeing that carbon monoxide could be the issue, R. Bradbury decided to install a carbon monoxide detector. The moment he turned it on, the alarm went off. His apartment had a buildup of carbon monoxide that was poisoning him for weeks. But there was still one question that needed to be answered. If no one was breaking in to leave the notes, who deleted the footage from the webcam he set up weeks earlier? When R. Bradbury checked the webcam again, he realized it was malfunctioning. There was a compatibility issue with the software, which meant the recordings weren't syncing to his computer. In other words, no one deleted his webcam footage, it simply never existed. What about the handwriting that looked like his landlord's? After taking a closer look, he realized that he made a mistake. He compared the handwriting on the post-it notes to a letter from his mother, not his landlord. The connection between the landlord and the notes was all in his head. R. Bradbury went back to Reddit and explained all the mistakes he made, effectively closing the case. The internet didn't just solve the mystery of the post-it notes, it saved R. Bradbury's life. This next mystery also involved a man who looked like he was in trouble, and the internet went on a hunt to solve the case. The blank room soup mystery. Have you ever watched something that was both confusing and unsettling at the same time? That's how many people felt when they first saw a video called Blank Room Soup in 2014. In the 1 minute and 40-second clip, a man cries while eating a bowl of soup. Standing silently beside him are two people in bizarre costumes, gently patting his back as if trying to comfort him. Nothing in the video made sense, and viewers were desperate to solve this mystery. They had 3 questions. Who was that man? Why was he crying? And who were the people in those strange costumes? As soon as blankroomsoup.avi went viral, internet users tried to explain the bizarre scene. Reddit forums, YouTube comments, and Discord chats exploded with ideas. Some thought it was an art piece, while others imagined something more sinister.
The original story behind the Blank Room Soup videos was that the man eating soup was actually abducted by the 2 men in black, as was his wife.
But people weren't satisfied with wild theories. They wanted real answers. Then there was a breakthrough. Someone figured out who made the costumes in the video. On October 16th, 2015, a YouTuber called Rainbot discovered 2 things about the costumes in blankroomsoup.avi. First, the costumes were created by an artist named Raymond Percy. Second, the costumes were called Ray Rays.
First thing that I found was a Daily Motion account called Ray Ray TV. This account had several videos with 2 characters that you see in Blank Room Soup. I looked into other videos on the Daily Motion account and did some research on the given names. After looking for a little bit, a Raymond Percy came up.
Rainbot decided to contact Raymond Percy to get to the bottom of the mystery. After all, Raymond created and owned the costumes, so we might know who was behind the video. When Raymond replied, his story only made things more confusing. Raymond Percy acknowledged that he created the Ray Ray costumes, but he said he had nothing to do with the Blank Room Soup video. In fact, he claimed he didn't even have the Ray Ray costumes anymore because they were stolen after he performed in LA.
When my group went back to the RV to pack our stuff and to get some food, We found that most of our Ray Ray props and costumes had been stolen.
But that wasn't the end of Raymond's story. He explained that shortly after the costumes were stolen, he received a video from an unknown email address.
A few weeks later, I got home from work, turned on my computer, and saw an email with an attachment. It was the video that everyone is now calling Blank Room Soup.
Everyone was disappointed that talking to Raymond Percy was a dead end. Since they didn't know who stole the costumes, they would never know who made the video. But when all hope seemed lost, people realized that Raymond's story had holes in it. At first, Percy's story seemed to explain everything. The costumes were stolen and someone else probably made the video. But some things didn't add up. For example, Raymond Percy uploaded the blankroomsoup.avi to one of his social media accounts under the title Soup Torture. When asked why he had the video on his social media, Raymond Percy said he thought the video was interesting and decided to share it. But if someone stole the Ray Ray costumes, made a creepy video with them, and emailed it to Percy, why would he just upload the video like it was no big deal? The internet decided to go one step further in this investigation by looking through the Los Angeles County police records. Turns out, Raymond Percy never filed a police report for his missing costumes. It was strange that he didn't ask the police to help catch the thief. The more people thought about it, the more suspicious they became of Raymond Percy. They wondered if he made the Blank Room Soup video himself. Some even thought the video was a marketing stunt to make the Ray Ray costumes go viral. If that was the plan, it certainly succeeded. Blankroomsoup.avi racked up over 16 million views on YouTube. After Rainbot's investigation, the Ray Rays disappeared. No new Blank Room Soup videos were ever released. Raymond Percy never admitted to making the video, but the internet is convinced he was behind it. Case closed. Our next mystery is about a man who said something so bizarre, the internet came together to figure out if he was telling the truth. The mystery of the time traveler. In the early 2000s, someone named John Teeter made a wild claim. He said he could travel through time and even showed pictures of his time machine to prove it. It sounds ridiculous, but John was so convincing to other people that he made them wonder, could John really be from the future? The internet was determined to solve this mystery. John Teeter revealed himself to the world on November 2nd, 2000. He posted a message in a chat room called the Time Travel Institute, a place where people discuss time travel theories.
Greetings. I am a time traveler from the year 2036. I am on my way home after getting an IBM 5100 computer system from the year 1975. My time machine is a stationary mass temporal displacement unit manufactured by General Electric.
John Teeter explained that he was sent back to 1975 to retrieve an IBM 5100 computer. Apparently, a dangerous computer glitch was destroying the world in 2036, and this old BMI computer was the only thing that could fix the problem and save the future. But if John Teeter was on a mission to save the world, why was he spending his time on online chat rooms in the year 2000? John claimed he was just making a quick stop to check out what his family was like in the year 2000. Then John started making terrifying predictions about the future. Between 2000 and 2001, John Teeter made dozens of posts explaining what would happen in the coming years. He said a civil war would break out in the US before the 2004 presidential election. He also predicted that in 2008, the US would collapse completely, and by 2015, World War III would begin.
In 2015, Russia launched a nuclear strike against the major cities in the United States, China, and Europe. The United States counterattacks. The U.S. cities were destroyed along with the American federal empire. Thus we, in the country, won.
Even though John Teeter was making all these predictions, no one knew what he actually looked like. He was just a name on the internet. At first, people thought he was just a prankster, but when they began to doubt him, he supported his claims with supposed scientific facts. For instance, John Teeter's posts were filled with advanced concepts about quantum physics. He even explained how he was able to travel through time.
One of the first pieces of evidence he provided were pictures of his time machine, along with the manuals to go along with it.
John didn't only share photos of his time machine. He broke down how every single piece worked and what each piece did. John's detailed stories and scientific explanations convinced thousands that he was a time traveler. The name John Teeter became a global sensation. Characters named John Teeter appeared in animes like Steins Gate and games like Reverse 1999. Soon he wasn't just a time traveler, he was a celebrity. John had fans who begged him to show his real face. Then at the peak of his fame, something happened that made everyone everyone suspect John was a fraud. Remember, one of the things John Titor predicted was that there would be a civil war in the US before the 2004 election. But when 2004 passed without any conflict, people began to wonder if John was just making things up. As doubts grew, people went back to re-examine all his other posts. And this time, they found a ton of problems. John's posts contained a bunch of scientific theories that sounded legit to the average person. However, when real scientists examined them, they realized that many of his concepts didn't hold up scientifically. It was just gibberish. When John talked about his time machine, he gave just enough details to sound impressive, but never actually explained how the machine traveled through time. Remember, John Titor was also talking about the IBM 5100, claiming this old school computer was the key to saving the future. But computer experts on Reddit debunked that idea. They said the IBM 5100 wasn't powerful enough to do everything John said it could. Almost everything John Titor ever said was being debunked. There was one last question. If John Titor wasn't a time traveler, who was he? Since the mystery made such big waves online, it caught the attention of major TV studios in Italy. They decided to produce a documentary on the mystery titled Voyager. The studio hired a private investigator to uncover who John Titor really was. Following clues from the internet, the investigator tracked Titor's posts to an IP address in Kissimmee, Florida. That's where things got interesting. It turned out there was a company called the John Titor Foundation, which had its headquarters in the same city. Another internet investigator, John Houston, posted a lengthy expose of John Titor on his blog Hoax Hunter. He accused a man named Larry Haber for being behind the John Titor story. Larry Haber was an internet lawyer and, according to rumors, the CEO of the John Titor Foundation. Digging deeper, the private investigator discovered that Larry had a brother, John Rick Haber, who was a computer scientist. This new information opened up a door to a whole new theory, that John Titor was a fictional character created by Larry and John Rick Haber. With Larry's experience in entertainment and John Rick's knowledge of scientific theories, they seemed like the perfect team to create a convincing time traveler character. Finally, in 2018, the truth came out. But it had nothing to do with the brothers. Joseph Matheny, a multimedia artist, stepped forward to reveal that John Titor was just a fictional character. He explained that he previously worked as a consultant for the unnamed individuals responsible for the legend. According to Matheny, the whole John Titor thing was a gimmick created to promote an alternate reality game that was being developed at the time. The idea was simple: get people hooked on a mysterious story, then lead them into the game. But things didn't go as planned. The game was scrapped before it could launch. But by then, the story of John Titor accidentally became an internet legend. No one knows for sure if he was telling the truth, but so far, that seems to be the most likely explanation. Our next mystery also deals with something beyond the ordinary, something supernatural. The mystery of the back rooms. In May 2019, this picture was posted on 4chan and people couldn't stop talking about it. The image showed a dimly lit room with yellowing wallpaper and fluorescent lights. Yet something about the photo felt off. Some said it was nostalgic, while others found it oddly comforting. But there was one question on everyone's mind: where was this room from? The search for the room's origin turned into a mystery that lasted for years. The picture of this mysterious room spread throughout the internet, and soon it was given a name: the back rooms. People said it was a strange dimension you might glitch into if you slipped out of reality.
It has this like dingy 90s looking feel to it. Now this is kind of what I imagine the hellish, the worst of retirement homes is probably what this will look like. You can almost hear the hum going on here, right?
The concept of the back rooms grew into an entire fictional universe. Fans created stories, levels, and monsters for the back rooms. They assigned each back room a level. The original photo became level 0. The back rooms even inspired a game and a movie. But despite all the creativity, one real question remained: where was the original photo from? As the back rooms became more popular, internet users were obsessed with finding the real-life location of the original image, now called level 0. Theories poured in. Some thought it was an abandoned office. Others suggested a defunct department store. People found places that looked similar to level 0, but none were an exact match.
The closest to level 0. This is what the real backrooms looked like. This is what the location I found looked like. It isn't completely similar, but how is this real? The backrooms are real. It literally looks like a green screen right now.
It seemed like the mystery would never be solved. Then, one Twitter post led to a breakthrough. In May 2019, someone tweeted that they found the location of the infamous Level 0 backroom. They even posted a link to prove it. The link led to a website of an American retail company called Hobbytown. One picture on the website matched the backroom's image exactly. This picture. This was it. The backroom Level 0 was a Hobbytown store in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. This meant the mystery was solved, right? Well, unfortunately, nobody paid attention to this tweet. It got buried under new posts and people continued searching for the location, not knowing it was already found. Then, 5 years later, in 2024, a group of internet detectives came up with a new strategy. They decided to track down the original backroom's image by its file name. They found an old 4chan thread with the photo and noticed the file name. Using that file name, they searched archived forums and social media until they stumbled upon the tweet with the link. They clicked the link and there it was, the backroom Level 0. The creepy room wasn't a doorway to another dimension. It was just an old, forgotten Hobbytown store. The news spread online that the mysterious Level 0 was found, but anyone hoping to visit the location would be disappointed. Years earlier, the room was renovated into an RC car racetrack. This next mystery started as a fun game, but over time it became an obsession for thousands of people around the world. The mystery of Satoshi. Can you find someone if all you had was their picture and their first name? That's a mystery that took 14 years to solve. In 2005, a British game company launched a unique game called Perplex City. It came with 256 puzzle cards, each card containing a different challenge for players to solve. But the last card in the deck, numbered 256, was unlike any other. This card showed a photo of a man and a Japanese phrase that translated to "find me." Beneath it was a single clue. My name is Satoshi. With nothing more than a name and a face, players were supposed to track this man down. What started as a simple puzzle turned into an obsession for thousands of people online. The Satoshi card was called Billion to One because players needed to find one person out of a billion on the planet. It wasn't going to be easy.
One final puzzle that was waiting to be solved is still waiting. 1,000,000,000 to 1. Find me.
In the first months of the hunt for Satoshi, the online community managed to uncover 3 facts about the mysterious man. Satoshi agreed to be part of the game. He wasn't some random person, he was in on it. Satoshi also wouldn't respond unless contacted directly. Even if he saw the forums or websites, he would stay silent. Lastly, Satoshi had a secret password given to him by the game developers, and he would reveal it to whoever found him. These clues only deepened the mystery, making the hunt even more exciting. Before long, the search for Satoshi exploded beyond the game, pulling people in from all over the internet. To keep track of the investigation, Reddit communities like r/findsatoshi were created to compile clues. One of the first things people did was reverse searching Satoshi's photo online, but nothing turned up. This was back in 2005, so the internet wasn't as advanced as it is today. Others focused on the background of his picture. They figured out the background was Kaysersberg, a small town in France. Players flew out to Kaysersberg thinking there would be a clue there, but it was just a dead end. Internet users reached out to anyone who even remotely resembled Satoshi. Hundreds of potential leads were contacted, yet none matched the man in the photo. For 13 years, no one knew who Satoshi really was, and many gave up. Then, one YouTuber picked up the case and came one step closer to solving it. In February 2020, the YouTube channel Inside a Mind posted a video called Find This Man, diving into the mystery of Satoshi. The video exploded in popularity, racking up over 1 million views. But more importantly, it revived the search for Satoshi, introducing the puzzle to a new generation of internet users. With new tools like advanced facial recognition software and social media platforms, the hunt was back on. Thousands of people scoured the web for any trace of Satoshi. Then, in late 2020, the breakthrough everyone was waiting for was finally here. On December 26th, 2020, 10 months after Inside a Mind's viral video, a Reddit user posted on the Find Satoshi subreddit. The title read, "Found someone similar looking on a Japanese webpage." Using facial recognition technology, the Reddit user found someone who looked like Satoshi in a photo on a Japanese company's website. On the far right of the group photo was a man holding a beer, a man who looked exactly like Satoshi. Reddit users immediately dove deeper. Another photo of the same man appeared on the company's website, this this time in a professional headshot. Users translated the webpage and discovered the man was an executive at a Japanese metal company. The community went into full investigation mode, comparing every detail of the two faces. They layered Satoshi's original photo over the executives, analyzing moles, beauty marks, and other facial features. The evidence lined up perfectly. This man was almost certainly Satoshi. After 15 years of searching, Laura Hall, the founder of the Find Satoshi website, finally contacted him, and this was his reply. "Hello, thank you for contacting me. You said you have been looking for the guy named Satoshi. I am Satoshi. Yes, I am Satoshi, who you've been looking for." Satoshi said that he completely forgotten about the game since it's been so long, and that he's just an ordinary guy that lives in Japan. He was shocked that people searched for him for 15 years, but felt good knowing his photo made an impact on thousands of people. This next mystery was also about a missing person, only this time the person everyone was searching for wasn't alive. The mystery of the nameless victim. On June 26, 1995, police in Southern Virginia responded to a car crash. Two victims were found, but one was so badly injured he couldn't be identified. The identified man was labeled a John Doe, meaning authorities didn't know who he was and couldn't contact his family. But there was one clue about his identity. In his pocket, they found 2 tickets to a Grateful Dead concert. The Grateful Dead was an American rock band that was really popular in the 80s and 90s. Because of this, people nicknamed him Grateful Doe, combining the band's name with the term John Doe. For 20 years, Grateful Doe's identity remained a mystery. No leads, no answers, and no family came forward. The case went cold. Then the internet got involved and everything changed. On January 2nd, 2015, someone posted about Grateful Doe on the social media site Imager. The post contained everything the police knew about Grateful Doe. Most importantly, it asked the internet to help uncover his true identity. This post slowly began to spread across the internet. At first, all people talked about was the facial reconstruction pictures because the technology back then made the computer-generated face look kind of creepy. The post gained so much interest that it eventually turned into a community of its own. Facebook pages were made to look for him, and a subreddit called r/Grateful Doe began recruiting members.
On social media, internet sleuths shared his information, trying to learn his identity.
Then they got their first big lead. Just hours after the initial post went live, the poster received a message from someone claiming Grateful Doe was his college roommate from Illinois. This person said Grateful Doe's real name was Jason Callahan, a young man who went missing 20 years ago. He also mentioned Jason was a big Grateful Dead fan, just like the man in the crash.
Micah Singleton lives in Conway and recognized the pictures of Jason on Facebook. He says they used to hang out along Ocean Boulevard. He too hasn't seen him since 1993 or 94.
As the investigation continued, another friend of Jason's came forward with photographs. When Jason's photos were compared to Grateful Doe's face, the resemblance was striking. On January 10th, 2015, just 1 week after the Grateful Doe post started blowing up, Jason's mom came forward. She made a Facebook post confirming that the man in the photos was her long-lost son, Jason Callahan. She hadn't seen or heard from him since June 1995, the same time as the crash. After Jason's mom came forward, law enforcement collected DNA samples to match the remains of Grateful Doe. Finally, on December 8th, 2015, nearly 20 years after the car crash, DNA testing confirmed that Grateful Doe was indeed Jason Callahan. Solving the Grateful Doe mystery gave Jason's family and friends the closure they needed. Inspired by this success, the Grateful Doe subreddit shifted its focus to uncovering the identities of other missing people. As of 2024, they've identified dozens of people, bringing closure to families from all around the world. These stories show us how incredible the internet can be when people use it for good. It's honestly unfortunate that so many people use it to do terrible things. But my request for you is to always think about how your actions affect others online, because you might just change someone's life. And I hope it's for the better. Visual Venture. If you guys like this video, click here to watch my video on the most unsettling websites on the internet, because I think you guys might like that one too. Road to 1 million subscribers. Let's go. Love you guys. Peace.
It's crazy, but that was actually picked up on Google Maps.
Even more chilling, the vehicle had been visible for years, faintly captured on satellite imagery from Google Maps, but no one had ever noticed it.
Google Earth's satellite image of the word help in a Union Pacific lot. It's right here in LA.
Spanish police have made a breakthrough in a murder case thanks to an unusual informant, Google Maps.
People open Google Maps expecting streets and houses, but sometimes they find scenes so unsettling it shocks them to their core. Today, we'll dive into the strangest things found using Google Maps and Google Earth. We'll start with the strange ones and work our way to the truly disturbing. So my goal this year is to give you guys more videos without sacrificing quality, and to do that, we gotta keep growing. It would mean the world to me if you subscribe, and I promise to do my very best to make the best videos I possibly can for you guys. I'm Visual Venture, and you are awesome. The illegal plant operation. Imagine trying to hide a secret from the police. Then Google Maps exposes that same secret not only to the police, but to the entire world. That's what happened to Curtis Croft. In 2013, Curtis Croft lived in Grants Pass, Oregon, and he had a very unusual business. Curtis grew marijuana on his property, but he had legal permission to do it.
His property is a registered medical marijuana grow site for 5 people.
That license meant he could grow 30 plants total, no more than that. But Curtis got greedy. He wanted more money. So he planted more than the law allowed, far more. Instead of growing 30, Curtis grew 94 plants, more than triple his limit. He lined them up neatly across his land. Then he made his biggest mistake. He bragged about it. Curtis went around town telling people how much pot he was growing. Sure, he had a license, but he was openly admitting he had way more than allowed. Before long, someone tipped off the police. When police got the tip, they didn't storm Curtis's property. They opened Google Earth and zoomed in on his property. From space, Curtis's farm was wide open. The plants were clear as day. Cops could even count them, and they were obviously more than 30. However, even after seeing this, the police still didn't arrest Curtis. They needed proof that the Google Map images were current, so they launched a flyover.
The Rogue Area Drug Enforcement Team used Google Earth satellite images that led them to do a conventional flyover.
From above, the view was identical, row after row of illegal plants. And the whole time, Curtis had no idea the cops were watching. In September 2013, police finally raided his farm.
Authorities got a search warrant and seized 94 plants from his home.
Curtis was arrested. A week later, he appeared in court.
50-year-old Curtis Croft was arraigned last week in the Josephine County Circuit Court on charges of unlawful manufacture and sale of marijuana.
His final sentence was never reported, but his case made headlines everywhere. Now, if you look up Curtis's old address on Google Maps, you'll see nothing but an empty field. The plants are long gone. This next case made social media panic, and for a good reason. Help. In January 2025, a Twitter user zoomed into Los Angeles on Google Maps. What he saw didn't make sense. Someone arranged massive letters on the ground. They formed a single word, help. The help signs were so massive that Google Earth could see them from space. After seeing this, the Twitter user posted screenshots online. He thought the signs might be connected to trafficking or worse. Within hours, the post went viral. Thousands of people rushed to check the same spot on Google Maps. Zooming closer, they realized the sign was spelled out using building materials like pipes, sticks, and other pieces of scrap.
This is what people are talking about. These help signs that are, look at this one. This is a big help sign.
But help wasn't the only sign. Other words were spelled out too. Some were in Spanish like Tráfico, others in English like Federal and LAPD. The location made it even scarier. The signs were near a shipping yard, and shipping containers are often linked to illegal activity. The more people looked, the stranger it got. Some claimed they spotted what looked like a tunnel entrance. Others swore they could see ladders, implying that something was hidden underground. Soon, reporters were asking questions too.
Is this migrants trying to reach out for help? Is there some sort of underground area in this section where they are being trafficked right now?
The internet was drowning in theories, but one man decided to find out the truth. A Twitter user called LA Guy refused to speculate. Since the strange help signs were in LA, he grabbed his camera and drove straight to the site. When he arrived, the scene was unsettling.
Okay, there's the help sign right there. The big help. I mean, I honestly don't know if this is just kids fooling around or something real.
From the ground, the letters looked enormous. Whoever made them spent serious time and effort. Then LA guy noticed something worse. A dog was tied to a post nearby, shivering in the cold rain. He called out, hoping to find its owner.
Here, let's see if I can get someone's attention. Hello? Is anybody there? Anybody whose dog this is?
No one answered. He and the dog were alone in the dark. So LA guy drove to a nearby homeless camp, hoping to ask about the signs and the dog. That's where he finally learned the truth. A woman living at the camp told him exactly who had made the signs.
A guy named Jose? Yes. He's writing those messages over there? Yes.
It wasn't a group of trapped people. It wasn't an underground crime ring. It was just one man named Jose. Then LA guy asked why.
Why is he doing that? Do you know?
She said Jose wrote those signs because he needed help. LA guy shared his findings on social media, hoping the police would get involved. And they did. The LAPD Central Division responded directly to LA guy's post. They confirmed that a homeless man named Jose made the signs. They also said they made several different contacts with Jose over the years, but he refused housing or a mental health evaluation. The cops also said there was no evidence of trafficking. Although there was no conspiracy, LA guy still wanted to find and help Jose. A few days later, he returned to the lot, but this time everything was gone.
I just spoke to the police officers, and this whole place has now been cleared out completely.
The massive signs that sparked panic were gone.
It looks like all the signs have been removed as well. It's just totally cleared out.
Now, if you search the location on Google Maps, all you'll see is an empty patch of land. And sadly, we don't know if Jose ever got the help he needed. Up next is a story about ghosts, a mysterious island, and a little girl. The Haunted Island. On the edge of Mexico City, there's a very unusual island. From above, it looks peaceful. But look closer and you'll see hundreds of strange objects hanging from trees. 6 years ago, a YouTuber named Micah discovered the place on Google Maps. When he zoomed in, he realized what those objects were.
There's an island that has doll parts hung up all over this little area.
The entire island was covered in dolls. Honestly, it looked nightmarish.
You know, there's just parts of dolls, and they're all kind of like messed up in different ways, or like muddy or something. Pretty weird.
All this was the work of one man named Julian.
Some just insane person in the middle of Mexico City just lived on this little island by themselves and just started hanging these up everywhere.
So why did Julian cover an entire island with broken dolls? It all began with a tragedy that happened about 70 years ago. In the 1950s, Julian was on the island when he made a terrifying discovery.
He found the body of a girl at the entrance of this chinampa. He tries to rescue her. Unfortunately, he's unable to.
Julian was devastated by what happened to the child. Days later, he spotted a doll floating near the same spot where the girl passed away. He believed it belonged to her, so he tied it to a tree as a tribute to her, to honor her memory. But after that, he said strange things started happening. Julian began hearing creepy noises, especially at night.
He said he was frightened at night. He said he also saw shadows. He heard strange noises. He could no longer be at ease in his own home.
Julian was convinced that the girl's spirit haunted the island. And for some reason, he believed the best way to appease the ghost was to hang more dolls around the island. So that's what he did. Over the next 50 years, Julian collected every broken doll he could find. He dug through garbage dumps in Mexico City. He traded crops for broken toys. He even picked up old dolls floating down the canal. But Julian didn't want the pretty dolls. He wanted the ugly ones, and he had a reason.
He believed that they frightened the girl's spirit. The uglier the dolls, the more they scare away the spirits.
Soon the island was covered in dolls with broken limbs, missing eyes, and cracked faces. Julian also lived in complete isolation. No wife, no children, just him and thousands of dolls. But this haunting story would end exactly where it began. In 2001, Julian's nephew visited the island to help him with chores. The two spent the day fishing in the same canal where Julian found the little girl decades earlier. But something strange happened that day. As they fished, Julian told his nephew that mermaids were calling him from the water. His nephew told him to be careful. But later that afternoon, his nephew found Julian floating face down in the exact same spot spot where the girl passed. After Julianne passed, the island of dolls became a tourist attraction, but visitors began reporting strange things. They talked about the dolls moving their heads, arms, and opening their eyes. Visitors also claimed to have heard the dolls whispering to each other. Today, the island holds more than 4,000 dolls. It even set a weird world record, the world's largest collection of haunted dolls. This next case is about a city where 50,000 people vanished overnight. The nuclear city. If you search Pripyat on Google Maps today, you'll find a ghost city frozen in time. The streets are deserted, the houses are empty, the schools are abandoned.
Unbelievable. What's this, a classroom? Looks like a classroom, huh?
And in the middle of it all, a bright yellow Ferris wheel stands in an empty field.
Here we go. There's the famous Ferris wheel. It's pretty crazy.
But this place wasn't always like this. Back in the 1970s, Pripyat was a dream city, and then a tragedy occurred. In February 1970, the Soviet Union wanted to build a gigantic nuclear power plant. They picked an area in Ukraine for the project, but the nuclear workers needed somewhere to live, so they built a new city from scratch. They called it Pripyat. The city had modern apartments, great schools, and shopping malls.
Each building is hugely spaced out with these enormous green areas in between to give people space.
The average age of the people in the city were just 26. A brand new amusement park was set to open soon. The main attraction was a bright yellow Ferris wheel, but no one ever got to ride it. Remember, Pripyat was built because nuclear workers needed somewhere to live. Well, on April 26th, 1986, something went terribly wrong at the nuclear plant near Pripyat. Around 1 a.m., workers at the nuclear plant began a routine safety test. They wanted to see if backup systems would work during a power failure, but something went wrong.
It was kind of a routine test, but it was conducted in such a way that that routine test turned into a terrible accident.
Energy levels dropped too low. The team tried to fix it, but every move made things worse. Then the reactor exploded. The blast was devastating. Some workers lost their lives, but the radiation that shot into the air was far more dangerous. And Pripyat, just a few miles away, had no idea what just happened. Workers from the nuclear plant understood how bad the accident was. The radiation in the air was lethal, but Soviet authorities didn't want the world to know about their mistakes, so they stayed silent. For the next 36 hours, life went on like normal in Pripyat. Weddings went forward, children played in the streets, and babies were pushed around, all while invisible poison spread through the air. Then people started getting sick. Some experienced severe headaches. Others were coughing and vomiting. A resident recalled the horror.
Later, doctors checked my son and said that his radiation dose was 2 times above the adult norms.
The truth couldn't stay hidden forever. By 11 a.m. on April 27th, the evacuation began.
A fleet of 1,200 buses, under the command of Soviet authorities, evacuated the city in under 48 hours.
Within 48 hours, nearly 50,000 people left. Many thought the problem would be fixed so they could return. They never did. Pripyat became a ghost city. In 2011, officials opened Pripyat to tourists over the age of 18. They claimed the area was now safe to visit. Then in 2015, Google sent its Street View cars to drive through Pripyat. They filmed empty buildings, playgrounds, and the famous Ferris wheel. Today on Google Maps, the city looks frozen in time, like everyone stepped out for a moment and never came back. Up next is a village that was packed with something that wasn't human. The Village of Memories. Some YouTubers were exploring Japan through Google Maps. Then they came across a strange village hidden in the mountains. It was called Nagoro. At first, it looked like an ordinary countryside village. The deeper they clicked into the streets, the more unsettling it became. People were everywhere. They sat on benches, leaned against walls, and stood outside small shops. But something wasn't right. Nobody moved, nobody breathed, nobody blinked. Then the truth became clear. These weren't real people. They were life-size dolls. Hundreds of them. They dressed as farmers, students, and shopkeepers. Some dolls sat inside schools as if class just ended. Others waited at bus stops. In Nagoro, the dolls outnumbered the humans 10-1. But how did this village end up with more dolls than people? The reason was heartbreaking. In 2002, a woman named Tsukimi Ayano returned to her childhood home in Nagoro. Ayano spent most of her adult life in the big city, but when her father fell ill, she came back to take care of him. When she arrived, the village was nothing nothing like she remembered.
だんだん少なくなっていったというのは、だんだんお年寄りになっていって、亡くなる人もおればですけど。
As a child, Ayano remembered 300 people living in Ngoro. By the time she returned, only 30 people remained. Most left for the cities. Those who stayed behind were either old or deceased. No children had been born there in nearly 2 decades.
So a lot of people just kept moving out and leaving. But for the 30 left locals that still stayed here, were born here, they wanted to make this feel like it was still alive.
Ayano decided to stay with her dad. She started a small garden outside her house, but the birds kept eating her seeds. To protect her crops, she built a scarecrow. Instead of making a faceless figure, she made it look like her father. She even dressed it in his clothes. Neighbors passing by thought the scarecrow was her father. Some would sometimes say good morning to it. That's when Ayano had an idea. She realized she could bring back everyone who left the village. Not literally, but through scarecrows or dolls. Over the next few years, Ayano made dolls to represent those who once lived in Ngoro. There were even dolls for those who passed away. She built their bodies with wood and wire, stuffed them with newspapers, and dressed them in old donated clothes. She even gave each doll a face, a name, and a place in the village. By 2019, she created more than 350 dolls. Ngoro started to look alive again, but in an unsettling way. Abandoned houses had doll families living inside them. Schools had doll students sitting at desks. Ayano wasn't doing this for fame. Her village was in the mountains of Japan, but thanks to Google Maps, the world eventually discovered Ngoro.
Oh my god, I've never seen anything like this.
By the early 2010s, Ngoro was visible on Google Maps Street View. It caught the world's attention. In 2014, a German filmmaker visited the village and made a documentary called Valley of Dolls. Soon after, tourists began arriving. Vloggers wrote about it. YouTubers visited. The abandoned village was suddenly famous. Ayano became famous too. She started teaching doll making workshops and even organized a festival so visitors could see the scarecrows up close.
On the first week of October, on a Sunday, they have a scarecrow festival, and it's all here, and a lot of people attended.
But it wasn't all fun. Ngoro was soon listed among the scariest places on Earth.
All the children's scarecrows, though. Look at them all. I don't trust this place at night anymore.
And while tourists kept coming, the real problem only grew worse. The human population in Ngoro kept shrinking. A tourist visiting in 2023 described what they saw.
25 people in a whole 25. There's more scarecrows than people, obviously. There's only 25 people here left. Before, there was 30.
A sad end to a once vibrant town. Sometimes Google Maps doesn't just capture mysteries, it solves crimes. The man with the body bag. In October 2024, Google Street View captured 2 shocking images in a tiny Spanish village. The first showed a man pushing a wheelbarrow. Inside was a large white bundle, tightly wrapped and obviously heavy. There were no other people in sight. Just one man and the bundle he was moving. But the next image was even more suspicious. The same man was loading the white bundle into the truck of a red car. He was bent over, unaware that a passing Google camera was filming him. But why were these images such a big deal? Because this man was a suspect in a missing person case, and the police believed the missing person was inside that white bundle. To understand why, we need to start from the beginning. The missing man's name was Jorge Luis. Before disappearing, Jorge lived in Cuba. Reports say that he had a wife named Alicia who lived in Spain. However, in early 2023, Jorge moved to Spain to join his wife, but the reunion wasn't all smiles. When he arrived, he allegedly discovered that his Cuban wife was having an affair with her 48-year-old neighbor. His neighbor's name was Manuel. He was a bartender with a reputation for violence. Suddenly, Alicia was caught between 2 men, and she had to choose. The exact details are unclear, but according to police reports, Alicia and Manuel decided to end Jorge's life. It's not clear what triggered this decision, but most believe they wanted to continue their affair without him. Around October 2023, Alicia and Manuel took Jorge's life. Then Manuel stuffed the body into a sack, loaded it into a wheelbarrow, and rolled it down the quiet street. It was pure coincidence that Google was mapping the area that day.
The Google Street View car just so happened to be driving through Tahueco for the first time in 15 years.
Afterward, Jorge's body was buried in a nearby cemetery. But Manuel and Alicia needed to cover their tracks, so they sent WhatsApp messages from Jorge's phone to his cousin. The texts claim Jorge got a new girlfriend and was starting a new life with her. One message read, "I met someone, I'm staying here, don't look for me." But Jorge's cousin smelled something fishy. First, Jorge stopped answering calls, and now these texts didn't sound like him at all. By November 2023, the cousin reported Jorge missing. As part of their investigation, police used cell phone triangulation to track the messages. They found that the texts came from the same area where Alicia resided. Police questioned Alicia, but she denied everything. With no body and no evidence, the case went cold. Nearly a year passed with no answers. Then in October 2024, police stumbled upon the Google Street View images.
Images show him stuffing what appears to be a body-shaped package wrapped in white plastic into the boot of a vehicle.
And that was enough to reopen the case. Police brought Manuel and Alicia in for questioning. Alicia eventually confessed. She admitted that she and Manuel ended Jorge's life together. Manuel, however, refused to confess. Weeks later, police located Jorge's remains.
The body of the unnamed 33-year-old Cuban victim, only referred to by the initials JLPO, was found in a nearby cemetery last week.
The investigation was finally over, but justice almost slipped away. If the Google Street View car hadn't passed that street at that exact moment, Jorge's disappearance would have remained a mystery forever. This next story also involves a missing person. The secret in the water. In October 2006, Davy Lee Niles left the bar after meeting a friend. He drove away into the night and was never seen again. His family searched everywhere.
There were posters, it made news, his face, the car.
But there was no trace of Niles or his car. After 5 years of searching, the family began to lose hope. In 2011, they published an obituary and held a memorial service. The obituary read, "Niles Davy Lee, age 72, passed away and only God knows the time and place." It was understandable that they thought that he wasn't alive. Niles was 72 when he went missing. He also had a terminal illness and was struggling with depression. All hope was lost. Then Google Maps revealed where Niles had been all this time. In 2015, a funeral home worker in Michigan was decorating a massive Christmas tree. The tree was so tall he needed a lift to reach the top. From there, he looked down at a nearby pond and froze.
When he got to the top to put up the star, and noticed something below.
The water was dark, but from that height, the shape in the pond was unmistakable.
All of a sudden, it's like, whoa, there's a car out there.
He called the police. The next day, divers arrived. They dragged the vehicle out, coated in mud and rust.
No one could ever see it. It was murky and things moved around.
At first, officers thought it might be an abandoned vehicle, but when they opened the door, they found human remains. It didn't take long to figure out who it was. An ID inside the car confirmed it belonged to Davy Lee Niles.
They really do believe that this is Niles because it was his vehicle and they did find his identification in the vehicle.
After years of searching, the mystery was finally solved.
Niles' family came to the scene to see for themselves where he'd been all this time. At last, they say, relief. They finally have some answers.
Investigators couldn't determine exactly what happened that night, but they concluded it was likely an accident.
At this point, they have no reason, they say, to believe that foul play was involved at all.
After the discovery, people went back to Google Maps, and there it was.
The car he disappeared in captured quietly on Google's satellite imaging.
Now everyone who looks up at that image realizes what they're seeing. A man trapped at the bottom of a lake. And that counts as one of the strangest and most tragic things ever caught on Google Maps. Google Maps is supposed to make the world easier to navigate, but sometimes it reveals how unsettling the world really is. It shows us that even from above, the darkest parts of humanity leave their mark. Visual venture. So you guys just watched part 2 of the series because there is a part 1 that shows you the most disturbing mystery solved using Google Maps. Make sure you guys click here to watch it. Love you guys. Peace.
How do you justify causing so many people distress and hurt?
It isn't my responsibility what others find upsetting. If you don't like it, turn it off.
The meanest thing I read was, I hope you yourself and I hope you get an eating disorder so you'll look pretty.
Simply because some idiot insinuated that something happened because 2 people went to use the bathroom at the same time. Are you happy yet?
There is a dark underworld, sinister side to Facebook that people probably don't realize even exists, that it's there.
Today, we're looking at innocent people whose lives were destroyed by internet trolls, and you'll be shocked why these everyday people became targets. We'll start with the lighter cases and end with those that are truly heartbreaking. So my goal this year is to give you guys double the amount of videos without sacrificing quality, and to do that, we gotta keep growing. So it would mean the world to me if you subscribe, and I promise to do my very best to make the best videos of all time for you guys. I'm Visual Venture, you are awesome, and I hope that you guys like my new setup. What do you guys think? Natalia. Imagine getting roasted online, not for something you did, but for something someone else did using your face. That's exactly what happened to Natalia. In 2015, Natalia lived in Russia with her husband. She had a relatively quiet life, but her big mistake was using a social media platform called VK. It's basically the Russian version of Facebook. She posted innocent pictures like dinners with her husband, selfies, everyday stuff. Little did she know a troll was watching her page, and that troll was about to steal her life. This person downloaded hundreds of Natalia's photos. They took those photos and created a Twitter account. They called the account Uma Compton, same face, different name. And Uma Compton was preparing to cause a lot of trouble. The Uma Compton account introduced itself as a Christian mother.
Proud Christian mother of 3, suicide survivor, anti-bully advocate.
But the things Uma Compton posted were the opposite of Christian.
Not long after the account's creation, Uma started posting and quickly garnered attention for a series of outlandish and often vulgar tweets that she would publish.
In one tweet, Uma bragged about her skills in the bedroom. Another tweet implied that she was romantically involved with her brother. Remember, this account was using Natalia's real face. People thought the woman behind those controversial tweets was bold enough to show her identity. The account went viral. Screenshots of the tweets went viral. It felt like everyone was talking about Uma Compton. But the troll behind the Uma Compton account didn't stop at tweets. They decided to make music, and things got even worse. The internet troll released full songs under the name Uma Compton. The lyrics were offensive and the quality was terrible. There were even music videos with a cartoon version of Uma, which was actually Natalia's face. Soon, she had fans who started making fan pages of her. To them, Uma Compton was an internet icon. She was famous for being inappropriate. Meanwhile, Natalia was still in Moscow living her normal life. She didn't use Twitter or speak English, so she had no idea that she was the face of Uma Compton. That's probably why the troll chose her in the first place. She seemed like someone who would never find out. But then the troll slipped up and everything came crashing down. In January 2016, the Uma Compton account uploaded a new photo of Natalia. She was pointing at a street sign written in Russian. In the background, there was a phone number. A reporter named Ryan saw the post. Immediately, he realized that something was off. Uma always tweeted that she lived in America, so why was the street sign written in Russian? Ryan looked up the phone number. It led him to Natalia's VK page in Russia. Natalia's page had the exact same photos Uma Compton was using, but it showed a completely different person. Ryan reached out to Natalia and her husband. When he told them about Uma Compton, they were shocked. Ryan knew he had to expose the truth, so he published his findings. And the internet finally saw it. Uma Compton wasn't real. It was just a troll causing mischief with stolen pictures. Twitter banned the Uma Compton account, but by then, the damage was permanent. Tweets had already been screenshotted. Songs were downloaded and reposted. And Natalia's face was tied to all that disgusting content. And she could no longer come to America because if she did, she would be recognized as one of the worst people ever. Natalia's face was stolen and she didn't even know it until it was too late. But here's the scary part. This could happen to any of us because your personal information is already floating online. Not because of some troll, but because of data brokers. So they sell your private information without your consent. They make no attempt to stop scammers or even stalkers from buying it. Why? Because they make billions of dollars a year off of it. And I don't understand why, but it is completely legal. So I know you guys might not understand the gravity of what I'm saying right now, but I've had firsthand experience with people stealing my information and threatening me with it to the point that the authorities got involved. It's serious. That's why I use Aura, the sponsor of this video. Aura finds data brokers exposing your information and automatically sends them requests to get your information taken down, and they legally have to comply. And Aura handles it for you automatically. Aura also monitors the dark web, alerts you if someone's trying to use your information for credit fraud, and it comes with a VPN and password manager. And if something does happen, you're covered with up to $5 million in identity theft insurance, and their fraud support will help you fast. fast. You can try Aura for free for 14 days at aura.com/VV. That's more than enough time for them to start removing your information online. Caitlin Upton. Caitlin Upton thought she was about to become a beauty queen. Instead, she became the target of internet trolls who ruined her life. In November 2006, Caitlin became Miss Teen South Carolina, and it was time to take the next step. She moved on to the national stage Miss Teen USA.
Tonight, 51 of the hottest teens from all over the nation are getting ready to compete for the dream of a lifetime.
It was a huge event. Millions were watching live from home. Caitlin made it to the top 5. That's when the questions began. One of the judges asked her a question.
Recent polls have shown a fifth of Americans can't locate the U.S. on a world map. Why do you think this is?
It was a question about education and geography, but maybe Caitlin was nervous because what came out next was not a logical answer. It was a mess.
Because some people out there in our nation don't have maps, and I believe that our education, like such as in South Africa and the Iraq, everywhere like such as.
The crowd went silent. Even the host froze. He wanted to help her, but he couldn't.
As a host, they specifically tell me that you're not allowed to say anything or help the contestant at all.
Caitlin wasn't the first to fumble during a pageant, but internet trolls decided to make her suffer for her mistake. Someone clipped Caitlin's mistake and posted it online. It spread like wildfire. The video crossed 1 million views on YouTube. On Reddit, the comments were vicious. One said, "This is what having a brain fart looks like." They made memes and parody videos. One showed cartoons dancing in her brain.
I personally believe that U.S. Americans are unable to do so because...
But the online jokes spilled into her real life. One day, Caitlin's family found a strange letter in the mailbox. It contained hateful comments telling Caitlin to go die for your stupidity. At a college party, a group of guys recognized her, and they started mocking her on the spot. Her mental health took a hit. She didn't feel safe in public. Caitlin even lost childhood friends because they were embarrassed to be seen with her. Years passed, the trolling slowly became less and less. And after all these years, Caitlin was finally able to move on with her life. This next case is about a kind gesture that backfired. Nicola Brooks. Nicola Brooks didn't go looking for trouble. She was just a mom sitting on the couch watching TV with her daughter. Then she did one thing that put a target on her back. It started in November 2011. Nicola and her teenage daughter were watching X Factor, the talent show. A contestant named Frankie got kicked off for breaking the rules. Frankie was a controversial figure. He had a wild attitude. He bragged about breaking the law. Some viewers couldn't stand him. So when Frankie was eliminated, the internet celebrated. One headline read, "Frankie's departure from the X Factor means the end of too tight trousers, enormous hair, and some extremely painful singing." But it wasn't just jokes and memes. The comments about Frankie became violent. Some wanted him to get hit by a bus. Others talked about doing disgusting things to him. The harassment was so extreme that Frankie himself spoke out.
A few weeks ago, people didn't have a Scooby who I was, and now I'm walking down the street and there's people shouting stuff at me and just trying to give me a hard time.
Nicola saw all of it and she was horrified, so she decided to help. She posted a kind message on Facebook. It read, "Keep your friends and your family close, Frankie. The online bullies will move on to someone else soon." That's all she said, but somehow internet trolls didn't like that. They turned on her instead. At first, it was just typical trolling. They just called her names. Then it escalated. They made fake Facebook accounts using Nicola's name and face. But they weren't just impersonating her, they were trying to destroy her. Some fake accounts messaged children. Others posted offensive content, all with Nicola's name and face.
I was getting photos made of me that the trolls were posting up.
She reported everything to Facebook, but they weren't much help.
I was using the report system. I was clicking over and over again, thinking this would stop, something would be done.
So she went to the police, but they couldn't help either. Most of the trolling was just online, but after 6 months, it leaked into the real world. On Mother's Day 2012, the internet trolls posted Nicola's home address online. Anyone with bad intentions now knew where to find her. That night, Nicola was anxious. Alexis. She went to bed with the lights on. For extra security, she placed a knife under her pillow. Not long after, Facebook shut down the accounts impersonating her. But Nicola wasn't satisfied. She wanted to know the real identity of her cyberbullies, so she dragged Facebook to court.
Nicola instructed a lawyer and they contacted Facebook to ask for details of those trolling her.
It took months of legal pressure, but in the end, Nicola won. Facebook was forced to hand over the names. The paperwork arrived and the name at the top left her speechless. The biggest troll, the one who did the most damage, was a police officer. She forwarded the names to the authorities immediately.
2 men were arrested and later released on bail, but the Crown Prosecution Service has since recommended that no charges be brought against them.
Nicola defended someone who was being bullied, and internet trolls tried to destroy her for that. This next case was about someone who was hurt by their own hero, Alexis Carter. It was early 2014. Alexis Carter was a junior in high school getting ready for prom, and she had the perfect dress in mind. She wanted to wear a green jumpsuit just like Rihanna's. The dress was unique because it had sleeves that looked like wings. There was one problem. The designer version was way too expensive. Alexis had 2 options: pick another outfit or find someone to recreate Rihanna's jumpsuit. She chose the second option. Alexis found a local tailor to sew a custom version. It wasn't exact, but it was close enough. On prom night, Alexis showed up in her green jumpsuit. Her classmates loved it. She smiled wide and posed for photos. Later that night, Alexis posted a few photos online. Then she went to bed with a smile, but internet trolls were about to wipe that smile off her face. By morning, Alexis's photos were going viral. Some troll online compared her sleeves to bat wings. Then they gave her a nickname, Prombat. Within hours, hashtag Prombat was trending. Trolls photoshopped her into bat logos and superhero posters. Alexis tried to ignore the memes, but then something happened that absolutely crushed her. On May 9th, 2014, the meme reached Rihanna herself, the same Rihanna whose dress Alexis tried to recreate. Instead of defending her fan, Rihanna reposted the meme. She posted this photo, a side-by-side comparison of her original dress and Alexis. It got over 9,000 retweets and 11,000 likes. It even appeared on TV.
Alexis' super low-cut green jumpsuit with wings got a Rihanna emoticon frown, along with a split-screen tweet comparing it to the Wu-Tang Clan's logo.
When Alexis saw Rihanna's post, she was heartbroken. Alexis said, "I started crying at first when it went viral. When Rihanna posted that photo, it made it 10 times worse. Later that day, she gathered every Rihanna CD she owned and threw it all in the trash. Eventually, memes slowed down, and people finally stopped bullying Alexis." This next story proves trolls don't need facts, they can just make things up. Norman Kohanowski. Norman was a teenager from Germany. He loved filming goofy skits with a camcorder, but one of those skits invited dangerous people into his life. In 2006, Norman created a fictional character named Leopold. Leopold was supposed to be a hot-headed gamer with a bad temper. One day, Norman filmed himself acting as Leopold. In that skit, Leopold was having a meltdown over a computer game. It was meant to be a joke about gamers who took things way too seriously. He posted the video on his personal website, so anyone who saw it knew it was an act. And then the problem started. Someone downloaded the video, then uploaded it on YouTube with a different title, Angry German Kid. It went viral on YouTube. Not because people thought it was funny, but because people thought it was real. Based on the comments, they thought Norman was an angry, unstable mess. Then German television found it, and they made the situation 10 times worse. In November 2006, there was a tragic incident in Germany. It involved a school and a pew-pew. German media scrambled to find something to blame. There was a theory going around that video game addiction made kids violent, so the reporters went looking for examples. Just like that, they found Norman's video. It was perfect. A TV station used the clip in a documentary about gaming addiction and violence. They didn't mention it was a sketch. Instead, they made up a story. They claimed the meltdown was real, and that Norman's father secretly recorded him. They even called him Leopold like it was his real name. Norman was a good kid, but now millions thought he was a violent freak. Just when it seemed it couldn't get any worse, the trolls showed up. Once the documentary aired, Norman became a meme. Trolls edited the footage with fake subtitles. But the worst part wasn't the internet, it was the kids at school. They teased him every chance they got.
Und die Leute sind einfach durchgedreht und ich habe es dann auch jeden Tag zu spüren bekommen. Jeden Tag habe ich mir das dann angehört, dass die Leute mich kennen, über den ganzen Schulhof brüllen.
Norman kept saying it was just a skit, but most people didn't believe him, so he tried a different approach. He dyed his hair and stopped wearing glasses. He hoped strangers wouldn't recognize him, but it didn't work. Norman was harassed everywhere he went. After 3 years of constant bullying, Norman snapped. He got drunk on a school trip and started making disturbing threats. He even threatened to take the lives of those who bullied him.
Talking to my classmates. How I hate all people, how I hate this world.
While he was ranting, someone recorded him. They took it straight to the teachers, and Norman was arrested and expelled from school. By this point, Norman was in a fit of rage. He refused community service, so he was sent to juvenile detention. By the time he got out a month later, everything was different. He locked himself in his room, hiding from the world, all because people online turned a joke into a nightmare. It took 2 years, but Norman started putting his life back together. He made new friends and got into a relationship. He even became a music producer. Imagine doing someone a favor only for that person to turn around and backstab you online. That's the next story. Helen, the Plain Bay woman. In 2018, Helen was flying from New York to Dallas. She sat next to a lady named Rosie Blair. The two women were strangers. Before takeoff, Rosie asked Helen for a favor. Rosie's boyfriend was in a different seat, and she wanted to sit next to him, so she asked Helen to switch seats with him. Helen agreed, but just before the swap, Rosie made a joke. She said maybe the guy Helen was about to sit next to might be the love of her life. They both laughed. Helen didn't realize that joke was a red flag. Helen moved seats, and she ended up sitting next to a random guy. Helen and the guy started chatting. They really got along. Helen had no idea that behind her, Rosie was watching everything. From the row behind, Rosie saw Helen talking to this random guy, and she believed that her joke was coming true. So she pulled out her phone and started live tweeting what she thought was a love story unfolding in real time. Rosie took pictures. She listened in on their conversation and tweeted everything she noticed. One tweet said, "No wedding rings in sight." Another said, "They're both personal trainers. They have touched arms a few times, and they're both vegetarians." Then one tweet went a little too far. She wrote that Helen and the man both went to the restroom at the same time, and when Helen came back, her hair was down. Rosie's tweet hinted that something intimate happened.
Saying that the girl in question went to the bathroom with her hair up. And what did Detective Rosie Blair say? When she came back, her hair was down.
By the next day, Rosie's tweets went viral. Hashtag Plain Bay was trending.
This morning, we have a love story to tell you about for the ages. If you were on Twitter yesterday, this was everywhere, and it is awesome.
If you haven't heard the story of Plain Bay, then you are missing the best plane story ever.
It was the best onboard entertainment they could ask for, and they made sure no one on the ground following the budding romance on social media missed any of it.
Remember, Rosie secretly took photos of Helen and the random guy, but she blurred their faces. Unfortunately, that didn't matter. Within hours, internet detectives identified Helen. They found her full name, her social media, and started posting it online. That's when the trolls came for her. The bathroom tweet sparked the worst kind of attention. People were convinced Helen had done something inappropriate mid-flight, and the comments were brutal.
She was harassed after people found her social media accounts with at least a few comments indicating that she was a skank.
Helen was overwhelmed. She deleted all her social media accounts, but the rumors kept spreading. Meanwhile, Rosie, the one whose tweets started the issue, was thriving. She gained followers, brand attention, and media interviews. Eventually, Helen released a statement through her lawyer. It read, "Strangers publicly discussed my private life based on patently false information. I've been doxxed, shamed, insulted, and harassed." Only then did Rosie apologize. But the apology didn't erase the rumors. Years passed since the Plain Bay incident, but Helen's name was still attached to it, all because she did someone a favor. The girl in the next story had no idea that chasing her passion would ruin her life. Rebecca Black. In 2010, Rebecca Black was 13, and she had a dream. Rebecca wanted to be a famous musician, but she wasn't rich. She was raised by a single mom who worked hard to support her. Then, Rebecca heard something that sounded too good to be true. A friend told her about a company called Arc Music Factory. They made music videos for kids who wanted to be famous, but there was a catch. The video would cost $4,000. She begged her mom to pay for the video. Eventually, her mom agreed. Rebecca didn't even have to write a song. Arc gave her two options. One was called Superwoman. The other was Friday. Rebecca chose Friday.
They sent me a song called It's Friday. And it was this cute little song of like waking up, going to school. And I was like, yeah, I do that. This is it.
She invited her friends to help film the video. The whole thing felt like a school project. On February 10th, 2011, the video went live on YouTube. At first, nothing really happened. It got about 4,000 views in the first month. Safe to say, it was not a hit. Then, a comedian saw the song, and he changed Rebecca's life. Daniel Tosh hosted a show on Comedy Central called Tosh.0, and in March 2011, he featured Rebecca's song on his show. But he wasn't trying to praise Rebecca, he was roasting her.
Some artists work forever to get in the spotlight. Others have their mom pay a shitty producer $4 grand to make a music video for their not especially talented daughter.
That one joke lit the fuse. Rebecca's video shot up from 4,000 views to 70,000 overnight. Then it hit 200,000 the next day. By the end of the week, Friday had 29 million views. And almost every comment was a punchline.
Comments were starting to come a bit more, and they were definitely all making fun of me, making fun of the song. That immediately put the biggest pit in my stomach I've probably ever had.
Friday was among the most hated videos in YouTube history. It had over 2 million dislikes and only about 300,000 likes. Then it turned dangerous. 2 people contacted Rebecca's family, one by phone, the other by email. Both said the same thing: take the video down or we'll take your daughter's life. That's when it stopped being a joke.
Specifically, they mentioned that they were going to take her life, and that's where you have to draw the line.
Rebecca didn't take the video down. The Friday music video remains on her YouTube channel till this day. Eventually, celebrities like Katy Perry and Lady Gaga told people to back off, and slowly the trolling and threats stopped. Most people expected Rebecca to disappear forever, but she kept making music. She released albums, became a DJ, and now tours with major artists. Rebecca Black went viral for all the wrong reasons, but somehow she turned it into something real. My friends, hurt people, especially online when you can hide behind your screen. But that's exactly when it matters the most. And my question to you is, what kind of person do you want to be when no one's watching? Visual venture. So what happens when innocent people's lives are destroyed not by internet trolls, but by actual influencers? Make sure you guys watch this video to find out. Also, let me know what you guys think about this new setup. Thank you guys for everything. Peace.
We cannot raise a generation of kids that are this tuned out, that are this rude, that are this violent.
I teach 7th grade, they are still performing on the 4th grade level.
People have been sharing videos of their children literally having meltdowns after taking the iPad away from them.
What's wrong?
I want an iPad. I really want an iPad.
As a 12-year-old, the internet taught me too many things I shouldn't know. It has completely ruined me, and I have serious mental health issues. This is just one of the many horror stories about brain rot destroying Generation Alpha. It's gotten so bad that the Oxford Dictionary made brain rot the 2024 word of the year. But although everyone is complaining about brain rot, most people still don't understand what it is exactly or how much damage it's causing. Today, we'll break it down like never before and show with proof how brain rot is destroying an entire generation. So my goal this year is to give you guys double the amount of videos without sacrificing quality. And to do that, we gotta keep growing. So 75% of you guys aren't subscribed, and it would mean the world to me if you did, and I promise to give you more fire content. The disturbing rise of brain rot. Brain rot is the idea that exposure to certain content can turn you into an idiot. It's based on the belief that the internet is rotting the brains of kids who spend too much time watching videos online.
Gen Alpha content's some of the most incoherent brain dead I've ever seen in my life, okay? Like, I can physically feel my brain cells frying every second I spend watching them.
But this isn't just some theory. A mom saw it happen to her own sons. When the boys were toddlers, she would play videos on her iPad to keep them calm and entertained. It worked so well that she started calling the iPad Peace in a Pocket.
Sometimes you have an important phone call, or you've got a parent-teacher interview or whatever that you just can't be interrupted in, and it's so easy. It's peace in a pocket.
But that peace didn't last. By the time her sons were 9 and 7, they were exhibiting disturbing behavior. The boys didn't want to do anything except watch videos online and play games. They didn't even want to go to school or do homework. And when she tried to take the screens away, this happened.
And they would become sort of aggressive and throw tantrums and that sort of thing if they'd played for ages and ages.
She ended her story with a warning for other parents.
There is something about it that changes their brain.
And she was absolutely right. Researchers found that too much screen time physically changes kids' brains.
One result that keeps showing up, parts of the brain related to reading,
language, and decision making are often weaker in kids who have more screen time.
This shrinking of the brain is what we call brain rot, and by the time parents notice, it's already too late.
What's wrong?
I want an iPad. I really want an iPad.
One mom shared a story about her 7-year-old daughter who got an iPad for Christmas. No one realized how addicted this girl was until her birthday party. The house was full of guests, presents, and cake, but none of it mattered. The girl did not talk to any children invited and spent the entire party playing Roblox on her iPad. Generation Alpha is defined as those born from 2010 to 2024. From the moment they could hold one, these kids had iPads in their hands. That's why they've been hit the hardest by brain rot.
She knew exactly how to start it up. She knew from the get-go.
From the moment she wakes up, Violet Bolton can't wait to get on her iPad.
There are about 2 billion Gen Alphas living in the world. What happens when these brain rot kids step into the real world? iPad kids. Studies show that kids who spend too much time online are more defiant and rude to their parents. A perfect example of this happened on a flight from Germany in August 2017. A mother and her child boarded the plane, and right away, you could tell this was an iPad kid. The moment they sat down, the mother asked the flight attendant to turn on the Wi-Fi so her child could use their iPad. We don't know if the Wi-Fi was turned on or not, but as soon as the plane took off, all hell broke loose.
The passengers describe an 8-hour flight from hell with non-stop and nerve-jangling screaming and fussing. They even covered their ears to drown out the 3-year-old.
No matter what anyone did, the child wouldn't calm down.
But he was climbing all over the chairs. He was just screaming, would not let up. He was running up and down the aisles.
Some people say the solution is simple. Punish the kid. Spank them. Take away their devices. But what happens when the kid isn't small anymore? Like this 15-year-old Gen Alpha boy who is 6 feet tall and 270 pounds. In September 2022, his mom allegedly took away his phone as punishment. In retaliation, he destroyed the entire house.
I don't care.
Desperate for help, his mother started a GoFundMe to raise money for repairs. But when people started criticizing her son for being spoiled, she tried to change the story. She posted another video saying her son was mentally ill and that his meltdown wasn't over a phone, but the internet wasn't buying it. They thought she was only saying that so more people could feel sorry for her and donate. But this kind of aggression from kids is everywhere now, even in schools.
I've had a student throw chairs at me and shoes because I asked them to get their math book out, but they didn't want to.
And nothing triggers aggression faster than a parent taking away the iPad.
What? What's gonna happen? What's gonna happen?
People have been sharing videos of their children literally having meltdowns after taking the iPad away from them. I mean, this one is literally picking up a chair to throw it.
But Gen Alpha kids who aren't lashing out are facing a different emotional problem: depression. In 2021, researchers found that high school kids who spend too much time on TikTok experience memory loss, depression, stress, and anxiety. Sometimes even healthy teens start believing they have a mental disorder just because they saw it on TikTok.
Important story for parents to hear. Rise in teens on TikTok self-diagnosing themselves with rare mental health disorders, in most cases that they don't have, after watching videos on the social platform.
But it doesn't stop at wrong diagnoses. In one bizarre case, teens actually developed physical symptoms.
Teenage girls showing up at their doctor's office with these strange tics, these strange movements, jerking movements. Nobody could figure out why.
Doctors were baffled. It took a team of investigative reporters to solve the mystery.
According to a recent Wall Street Journal article, doctors say all the girls have one thing in common. They're watching TikTok videos of people with Tourette's syndrome, which is a neurological disorder that can cause physical tics.
No wonder TikTok is called the worst social media platform of all. It's pure brain rot. This next brain rot problem destroys the innocence of kids. Inappropriate content for kids. Kids who spend all their time online don't have to go looking for adult content. It finds them. First, they stumble upon viral memes that might be funny for an adult, but can be extremely harmful for a child. For example, there are plenty of instances of children quoting the Haktua meme without understanding what it means. There's even a children's song about Haktua that stayed up on YouTube Kids for 3 days. We've also seen kids making jokes about P. Diddy and baby oil. That's not something a child should know about, but inappropriate jokes are just the beginning. Once a kid falls into toxic content, it only gets worse. Some as young as 9 are addicted to mature videos. Others watch real-life gore and fetish content, and this exposure changes them. They start talking and acting differently. Some get so edgy they want to get physical with the cops.
And then he has to provide his ID.
Yeah, you know what? Yes. Y'all know what? The police, the Freemasons suck my.
Although TikTok, YouTube, and Twitter try to filter the worst content, kids still find it because they're always online. Before we explain the next way brain rot is destroying Generation Alpha, there's one question we need to answer. If brain rot content is so bad, why do creators keep making it? Getting rich from brain rot. Brain rot isn't just about too much screen time. It's also about the fast, flashy content kids watch online that messes with their brains.
You can use it in 2 ways. You could say, that's brain rot. Yes. Or you can say, that video gave me brain rot. 2 ways.
While brain rot content is destroying Gen Alpha, it's making those creating it filthy rich. Let's look at the numbers, starting with one of the worst offenders, CoComelon. Right now, CoComelon's YouTube channel has 189 million subscribers and 1,400 videos. And those videos have been watched 196 billion times. And every single one of those views puts money in their pockets. However, their biggest payday came in 2021 when the studio behind CoComelon was sold for $3 billion. But CoComelon isn't the only show cashing in on brain rot. According to Forbes, the Baby Shark dance video earns around $283,000 each month. That's about $9,400 a day. We can't talk about brain rot shows without Skibbity Toilet. It's a nonsensical YouTube series about toilets with human heads in the bowls, but it gets over 30 million views per video and could earn up to $23 million per year from YouTube alone. But it's not just videos. Even social media platforms are worsening brain rot by making their apps more addictive. Scrolling on TikTok has been compared to playing a slot machine in a casino. Every short video gives a tiny hint of dopamine, making users more addicted. Now, YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram are copying TikTok, pushing short videos to keep people hooked. And it's paying off. Here's a table showing how much social media platforms earn in 2024. It ranges from $800 million to $80 billion. Despite the warnings, nobody is stopping. If anything, they're doubling down because brain rot is a gold mine. This next problem is serious because it affects Gen Alpha's daily life. A generation that can't communicate. Watch this video and see if you understand what this kid is saying.
Diddies and Diddy men, keep your phantom high, but Sigma's higher. And remember, it's just alcohol!
Sounds like complete nonsense, right? But believe it or not, this is how many Gen Alpha kids talk now. It's called brain rot slang.
I do a GRWM for my OOTD, but I don't have the proper ring light they tell me I need.
This slang only makes sense if you're deep into online culture. Otherwise, it's gibberish. It's so frustrating that a TV show host brought her own Gen Alpha son on live television just to explain this bizarre way of speaking.
When you say Skibbity Toilet, what are you talking about? Are you just talking about that? Or is it just a funny thing to say?
But every brain rot word has a meaning. Riz is short for charisma, only in Ohio refers to anything that's strange or random. And skibbity can mean good, cool, bad, evil, or dumb, depending on the context. There are so many of these terms that someone started a brain rot dictionary to keep track. But brain rot slang is not a laughing matter. Many teachers have noticed that kids who speak brain rot struggle to switch back to normal English. It's like they're forgetting how to talk properly. But at least teenagers can still talk. Toddlers, on the other hand, are losing their ability to speak at all. My mother shared her experience with CoComelon, one of the worst brain rot shows. My youngest was watching CoComelon almost every day, and I just thought he was taking a bit longer with his speech. But after I cut it out, his speech picked up almost instantly. He started saying simple words like mama and dada that he hadn't said before. There's a reason for this. For starters, the scenes in CoComelon change every 1 to 3 seconds.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1,
2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1.
It's so fast that kids barely have time to process what's happening on screen. Secondly, the colors in CoComelon are at maximum saturation, which can overwhelm a child's developing brain. Last but not least, CoComelon has repetitive songs and high-pitched sounds, all designed to grab and hold a child's focus.
And all of that is happening simultaneously. The child is being overstimulated.
And that overstimulation comes with consequences.
Instead of the child singing along or, rehearsing the lessons in the show, they are just mesmerized by what is happening. All of the different senses that are being stimulated in the moment of watching, and it actually causes them to become nonverbal.
It's a national crisis. A 2023 survey found that 1 in 5 children were behind with their talking and understanding of words. That's the highest number ever recorded. Talking is how people express themselves. So what happens when an entire generation grows up only knowing how to speak in brain rot? Or worse, what happens when they can't speak at all? Following the cool kids. Brain rot has trained Gen Alpha not to think. So when a new TikTok trend goes viral, they don't stop to ask, is this a bad idea? They just jump in, and sometimes it ends in disaster. Take the outlet challenge. Kids were shoving coins into electric sockets just to make sparks fly. Or the devious licks challenge, where kids filmed themselves stealing from their own schools, and those who got caught got in trouble.
Friend's been expelled from school for riding his scooter after hours and stealing a handicap parking sign from the school.
And worst of them all, the blackout challenge. That one was fatal. This isn't just about dumb TikTok trends, it's about an entire generation of kids losing their ability to learn. The dumb generation. Brain rot has messed with Gen Alpha's brains so badly, they can't even study.
We are in a crisis mode in American schools.
On TikTok, videos about Gen Alpha struggling to read have almost 417 million views.
I teach 7th grade, they are still performing on the 4th grade level.
Even the kids who can read can only handle simple sentences or scan headlines, but ask them to read something longer or more complex, they shut down. And then there's the problem of low attention spans.
They can't even attend to a video. They can't even attend to a 3-minute video clip. I can play it, I can tell them what it's going to be about, I can summarize what the video did, and not a single one can tell me what the video was about.
As if being distracted and unable to read wasn't bad enough, Gen Alpha is also making their teachers' lives miserable.
Having to teach and work with you guys as children has been the most traumatic experience of my life. They don't respect any authority. You ask them, can you stand in your designated spot? They're telling you no and shut up.
In 2023, reading and math scores among 13-year-olds in the US fell to their lowest levels in decades. That's solid proof brain rot is destroying the education of an entire generation.
And we are expecting them to go to college and obtain jobs when they cannot even comprehend basic skills.
Brain rot content won't disappear because it's too profitable. But parents can control what their kids watch, and that choice changes everything. More importantly, kids need time away from their screens. And if you're Gen Alpha and you're watching this, here's my advice. Don't let brain rot ruin your future. Visual Venture. If you guys like this video, you guys would probably like my video on the worst TikTok trends. Thank you guys a ton for being here. Peace.